Welcome, everyone, to the Utharian Thread, a story to tie other pieces together in a great and wonderful tapestry of tales. Today, we have a story featuring one of the finest casts I've ever been able to put together with phenomenal characters and a really heart wrenching tale. I am your Dungeon Master and Storyteller, Strike Redkite. You can find me on the internet, various locations. We will have all of the links available in descriptions and the like for not only myself, but also this really wonderful cast that you should be supporting in every possible way you can. At the very least, go and follow them all. If nothing else, the sheer stream of consciousness that comes out of many of their social medias is really worth watching. Um,
Hey.
we're going to start our story in Dawn's Harbor at about 4 in the morning. It's still dark. It's still nighttime, but we have started to see the lightening of the sky uh, as morning starts to come to the city. And we're going to begin with a rather unusual figure, someone who is a little bit more hidden than a lot of the denizens of Dawn's Harbor might otherwise be. Em, will you tell us who you're playing and describe your character for us?
Sure. So I'm playing Silxus, um, and as you first see her, um, underneath the streets of Dawn's Harbor, since it's 4 in the morning, she's in a little sleeping pile, um, and, her small, very blue, body is cloaked in this patchwork, coat and scarf of all these different fabrics sort of meshed together. It looks like she found them from every corner of the town. Um, and poking through her bundle poking through her bundle of, fabrics are these long elven ears. Um And even though her eyes are closed, she's got these long eyelashes that almost look like they've caught snowflakes in them, even though she's underground. And while she sleeps, this sort of gentle wintry wind blows through her curly hair. And the pillow that she is sleeping on seems somewhat alive, but we can get to that later.
Okay. So there is often that feeling of not quite anxiety, but awareness when someone like Soxus is asleep that comes not necessarily when danger has arrived or something else, but when there is just that, just enough of a feeling of something isn't quite right to make an awakening happen. It's that sort of, it's not the panicked bolt upright sort of wake. It's not the, oh my goodness, the house is on fire sort of thing. It's the, I need to be awake and I don't know exactly why. But Soxus will feel that sense of, I need to be awake for what is about to happen. So with her
Um,
waking up, what does she do?
yeah, so as you said, it's sort of this inherent pull to be awake. And so her eyes open in the dark, giving a moment to adjust. And as she sits up and props herself up on her elbow, her pillow disperses into a dozen or more spectral rats. Um, and she looks down at one of them with a quizzical look, and it sits back on its hind legs with its little arms up, giving her an equally quizzical look. And she goes, "What's wrong?" And the rat just sort of squeaks at her and runs off. And so she gets up, sort of checking all of the normal places that she would, since are you allowed to live in the sewer? It's debatable. Um, she thinks yes. But, she checks the grate, she checks the little door, everything, listens for a moment. Does she hear anything?
There isn't any sort of noise going on, but definitely anything that she can see that is above ground. As somebody who is awake at night a fair bit, there's a cadence to sounds and light and all of that sort of thing that goes through over the course of the day. And the sky is just a little bit brighter than it should be at this hour of the day. Not like there's something in the sky that is shining, but there's just enough light that is starting to creep over the city that it seems you'd almost feel like it was 2 or 3 weeks later in the season for how much light is in the sky. Enough to notice, but not enough to like there's not an obvious source of it.
So as she sort of lifted up a stone above her to peer out into the open, and as she sees this, she pushes the stone aside and moves it and shimmies up through the little hole in the street, and then replaces the stone underneath. And you know, in the silence of early morning, looks around where she chooses to stay in the sewer is definitely right below where she can also get a little snack. Um, so she does her morning routine of, giving everything a once over, and then, sends a little spectral rat to go grab her breakfast.
Okay. While that rat is dashing off, we're going to pan the proverbial camera over uh, and look at another just barely pre-dawn sort of waking up exercise. Duval, do you want to introduce your character and what he looks like?
For sure. Hey everyone. Kalamash, he they pronouns, is a very pretty as like the sun begins to like almost like uh make its appearance. We sort of pan to a fairly large rooftop, and what we see is the outline of sort of this like combination, depending on where the sun hits, of blue or green feathers. A fairly large form, sort of matching, almost like teal, the consistency of like Zubaz, very loose pantaloons, if you will. Large, sort of dark brown talons, and he sort of is really loud, like large, intelligent, almost like golden rod yellow eyes. And as we kind of hear like the consistency of like movement and like stances, is like this particular person maneuvers with the quickness and dexterity of someone that's been doing yoga for like since birth, and is maneuvering through like warrior one, warrior two, reverse warrior, and is just enjoying the his early morning routine, and like he's got like a very loose, like almost like not like muscle shirt, but just like kind of like monk sort of wraps as well.
While you are going through this, what is your passive perception?
16.
Okay. So as you're going through your exercises in the morning and you're seeing your routine of watching sort of the city to the east of you slowly but surely start to wake up as the sun rises, you realize that the tinge of the sky is off. Obviously, as the sun is rising, the sky lightens slowly but surely and it sort of pans across. There is light coming from the west that is catching up way faster than what the sun should be bringing.
Hmm. He sort of like blinks at it, like almost as if it's like a optical illusion. Um, but sort of just continuing, his breath and sort of sudden salutations, quite literally, and continues on with his routine,
All right,
undeterred.
Soxus, you're going to notice much the same sort of thing as you're more actively looking around, so I'm not going to check your passive perception. There is a orange tinged light coming from the west that is bright enough to start to lighten some of the sky over by the docks.
Um, she takes the baguette she's fairly gnawing on out of her mouth and regards the sky. Sort of looks back at her little rats, um, and then takes off running in the direction that she knows Calmush's shop to be.
You're probably only about a block or two away from it because coincidence is a wonderful thing for stories like this. Um, and so
Oh,
you'll probably spot Calamash up on the balcony from the street as you are coming up.
as I approach, I take the butt of my baguette and I chuck it at him.
Amazing.
I love you so much.
Uh,
Oh my
Psst, psst.
And I think like he's like in the middle of like maneuvering this large sort of brown quarterstaff, and he spins around and whacks it out of the air and looks down at you. You know not to bother me during my very important private time,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
and yet
look,
you do it regardless,
yes, because it's important. Look at the
right?
sky.
Look at it's certainly it is a strange looking sky this morning. Yes, I did notice,
And
but that is all. Why should this strange sky stop me from doing what I want to do?
you're not at all concerned?
I'm slightly curious. That is about it. Why? Give and like he kind of like moves over and like kind of hops up like floating for a second over to like a ledge and sits down and has like his the quarterstaff like kind of resting on his knees. Is there a reason for me to be concerned?
I don't know. I just something feels wrong. Like really wrong.
Why? Why does it feel wrong?
I don't know. I just tell him. And she she turns to the little spectral rat on her shoulder, and the rat just starts berating you in squeaks. Um,
And
And as it
that's like
is
yes.
finishing up its little rant, it points to the sky in the west. And as it does, you can hear an approaching whistle as something is moving through the air at a very high velocity.
So I've only been. What is this whistle for? Do you know? Small rat or
Calamash,
yeah.
give me a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, sure. That's a 21.
Perfect. So you will have time to sort of dive out of the way, and you can also make sure that Silksys is out of the way as well if you like, um, because the whistling identifies itself for you almost
Oh, sure.
immediately as what appears to be a hunk of stone covered in oil and fire, and it crashes into the building directly behind you with an explosive thud
Oh,
as a trebuchet launched object crashes into the city for the first time.
we have to go. We have to go. We have to go. We have to go.
I gotta go get. I have to get. I have to get the kids. I have to get the wife. What? Yeah.
We
Okay.
don't have time.
What?
We don't have
They're
time.
inside. It's kids.
And I grab him by the talon?
Sure.
Um,
I'm a bird man. I'm sure it
yeah, I'm
works.
just I'm just gonna say hand. I don't
Yeah.
think that's right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this mangy little pile of coats masquerading as a Eladrin grabs your talon, and just starts, like, pulling you with all of her might, away from the wreckage.
But what about the shop? What about the shop? With all the potions? Like all, I don't even know if there's anything explosive in there. I was actually doing
You
some
can't help them
experimentation.
if you're dead, come on!
But, but I'm not dead, so I can still help them. I believe I'm fine. I'm fine. And in fact, I hope
As you are
you.
arguing, several more of these boulders crash into buildings nearby as dozens, it sounds like, of whistles start to fill the air and the bombardment begins in earnest.
And he'll like almost like you kind of like you still have it, like your hand on probably like like where at his wrist, and you kind of feel like because he was initially like resisting to you as he's protesting, and like the situation is beginning to like dawn on him and how like what the hell is happening, and you sort of like as you begin to move, if you do like he follows, but like and just processing whatever the hell's happening.
We we have to go. We have to find somebody who
Where are
who
we
knows what to
going?
do. Um, Maria, remind me how to say your character's name.
Valin.
Hmm,
Lynn, okay. We got it. Spooky one will know what to do. We have to
I
we
do
have to
like
go
the
to
spooky
Lynn's.
one.
We have
Yes.
to. Come on,
Yep,
come on.
I'm coming. Okay, yeah, okay. Ah!
All right, and we are going to pan the camera away there and move to Tide Runner's Keep.
And that is where we will end our session for today. Please tune in next time for more adventures in this Utharian thread.